At Google, we've seen searches for ratings and reviews around consumer products growing over the past 2 years. So this is a trend that's here to stay, and it's one that as a marketer, you need to pay attention to.
BazaarVoice is responsible for most of the reviews you see online, such as if you're booking a restaurant at OpenTable or you're shopping at Walmart.com. Those reviews written by customers on those websites are actually powered by us. To a brand manager that's afraid to embrace online reviews, I would say, don't you think customers have always been talking to each other? Don't you think that's already reflected in your sales trends? Why would you not want to know? LL Bean has a sweater which was receiving all 5-star reviews. Well, the beautiful thing about a 5-star review is it usually has a suggestion for improvement. And in this case, customers kept on suggesting one of 3 additional colors. So LL Bean launched those 3 additional colors, and they literally doubled their sales of that sweater. 80% of reviews that we collect worldwide are 4 or 5 star. The number one reason people write content is altruism. They actually care about the impact that they're having. That's in the fabric of our being.
There's been a general belief that people are more likely to talk about negative experiences than positive experiences. And there's been some interesting recent research that sort of shows the opposite, that people are much more willing to talk about good experiences and favorable things than they are to talk about negative experiences. People like sharing good news.
Responding to negative criticism is one of the most misunderstood things. There are brands will say, we're not going to put user reviews on our website because what if like the few reviews say really bad things? Negative criticism can be a great way to engage the community. And then the great thing is if you are there first, you get a shot at responding to that discussion. And with your own tone and texture and context and other things, that adds value to the discussion. And just you being there can be such a powerful way for people to connect with your brand. If only more brands understood this, they would realize that the real power of this to drive long-term brand engagement for any company. It is important that for our campaigns, we measure holistic success. So we'll do all these ZMOD campaigns, and we'll do all these social campaigns. And the only success we'll measure is the fact that somebody hit add to cart and bought 19 fair trade organic bananas. And that's kind of a very narrow view of success. And it leads to marketers making unexpansive decisions. Using the right data to measure your success can help you find not only places where you can make tactical fixes, but help you figure out how best to organize responsibility. I try and use data in order to drive fundamental change. And using data means using sort of really cool metrics like bounce rate. So bounce rate is a really great metric because what it measures is this phenomenon from a consumer perspective. I came, I puked, I left. And it's just so fantastic, right? Because it says you worked really, really hard on all these ZMOD campaigns and your glory is plastered all over the web, and then people come to your site, they puke and leave instantly because it's such a horrid experience. But when you start reporting metrics like bounce rate, it forces the company to say, why is it that I'm working really hard on my Facebook campaigns and they have a 99% bounce rate? Like somebody gets fired instantly. The really fantastic way in order to measure ROI for your ZMOD campaigns is to compute the complete economic value created from the macro conversion, revenue, and all the micro conversions. And I think that companies that understand that solve for the short term, buy something from us today, and the long term, possibly buy something for us in the future and let us influence you so you will become a brand evangelist. That to me is the really fantastic way in order to measure ROI for any kind of campaign across any kind of company.
Often it is the case that we're not going to change until we have a crisis, but the best companies are those that are making the change before the crisis. And you could go through a series of different businesses that sometimes you're leading the charge, but often because you've been successful in the old model, You haven't felt the need to try and disrupt your own markets. Blockbuster should have been the first to be offering videos that they could get over the internet, rather than waiting and being late to that dance. Disrupt your own business before anyone else does. Be on the front edge of the technology rather than lagging the new incumbents that come into that market.
Our jobs today are both infinitely more difficult and significantly easier. Great marketers have always been great listeners. It's just being a great listener in the past, involved in the aisle, retail engaged, field connected kind of marketing. You had to be physically in the stores connected with the shoppers. Today, the technology can connect me at scale with shoppers globally. I can reveal what's important to them. I can listen into the conversations. Zero Moment of Truth defines not only what the shopper is doing, but the future of marketing. By engaging with them in the beginning of the process and following them all the way through their journey, we become their ally rather than a manipulator. We're able to deliver real and true sustained growth because we're helping them to get the products and services that they really want.
Although we have a retail storefront, probably 80% of our overall annual turnover comes from the internet. So I don't think our business would still be alive if we'd relied on traditional marketing methods to this point.
Marketers who believe in the zero moment of truth, in fact, who optimize and build their marketing programs around the zero moment of truth, stand to win. When consumers come back and post a rating or a review about their personal product experience, then that becomes the basis for future other customers to learn from. In other words, my second moment of truth becomes the next person's zero moment of truth, and thus the chain continues.
Butterlane makes cupcakes. That's all we do. We use really high quality ingredients and put a lot of love into our cupcakes. We run a single product business, which on the one hand is great because we can really focus, but on the other hand, you better know your business and you better be really good at it because that's the only thing you're doing. We started at probably the worst possible time in terms of the American economy. So if we hadn't embraced Zmot, we would not exist today as a business. There's simply no way to succeed, really, if we're going to just rely on foot traffic and just our one little storefront. It's just not possible. When we first launched, we didn't have any sort of real online strategy or any sort of grand social media strategy, but we realized really early on that we needed paid search, and it's driven a lot of business. We asked people, how do they find out about Butterlane? And a lot of people find out about us on Yelp. A lot of people find out about us through Google AdWords. Tons of food bloggers, tons of people going online just talking constantly about food. It's built-in marketing and a built-in consumer base, and we try to take full advantage. The great thing about this information that you're getting is it is extremely specific. You can tell what they like, you can tell what they don't like, and what they're looking for. We regularly make course corrections based on customer feedback. You know, we decided that we needed to greet customers within 5 seconds or 10 seconds of them walking in the door. And that's something that we picked up on just by listening to what people were saying about us. We use social media sites to drive business. For example, we teach classes, and so sometimes we'll have last-minute cancellations. And all we have to do is tweet, whoa, last-minute opening, 2 spots tonight, come on by. And we automatically fill those with paying customers. It's not just a nice thing to be able to do. It's not just, something that's out there that you can take advantage of if you want to. It is absolutely crucial, particularly for a boutique business.
The zero moment of truth is in many ways about discovery. You want to make every part of your marketing plan easy to see and find. If you've got a television campaign, make sure you have it on YouTube. Make sure that the names in the brand and the characters in the brand are keywords that you put into search engine. Have people in your organization tweet about it. And to a great extent, if you hear anything positive, broadcast it, and if you hear anything negative, discuss it online. All of this will create a large footprint for people to discover your brand versus just hoping that you put out a message and people discover it.
So in the healthcare industry, especially in the healthcare IT space, there's a lot of activity with health regulation, especially around electronic medical records. We're in that business. Our customers who are doctors, hospital administrators, have a lot of questions. We felt it was critical for us to get out there just to explain what is an electronic medical record. How does it work? So we invested quite a bit into basic storytelling through video. It really was that zero moment of truth. Doctors were looking, they were trying to discover what they needed to know, and we focused and said we need to be there with fresh content that's simple to understand and optimized in a way that they're going to find it. And we try to replicate that model across various different industries.
When you think about a brand's relationship with a consumer, you have to think about it in many different ways. Talking to a consumer in social media is very different than talking to a consumer on mobile media. Whatever their need state is very important for brands to not only pivot around, but to create different kinds of campaigns and different kinds of dialogues based on where that consumer is at that moment that matters.
Think about the zero moment of truth online as something of a giant call center. Of course, if they were calling your actual call center, you would have SLAs to answer the phone, to dispose of the call properly with great satisfaction within a certain duration of time. But when it comes to online, on the web, on search results, are you there? Are you answering those calls, so to speak? If you are, congratulations, because you're winning the zero moment of truth. Ask yourself, who on my team has as his or her primary job owning and helping us win the zero moment of truth? The zero moment of truth can't be an afterthought after you've built your stimulus, after you've built your shelf program, and after you've built your great product. In fact, you need to think about all 4 moments holistically together as part of your go-to-market strategy.
The reason why it's very important to get the search people up forward is they could actually let people know 2 things. A, what are people searching for in that particular category? And if you actually know that, it may influence all your other marketing materials, including what you say in your commercial. When people are looking in one area, let us say hurricanes or other disasters, they at the same time begin to start looking for things that offset that, like homeowners insurance. And so that insight, when A happens, people think about B. The folks who are the search, the discovery people are seeing all the time because they're actually watching behavior. If they can incorporate that into the overall marketing campaign, that's a big deal.
Never let your marketing write checks that your website can't cash. So marketers increasingly have to think about the end-to-end consumer. Where does the ad show up? Is it the right ad? When the person clicks on it, what page do they come to our site? What are the messages and calls to action? Is there a cohesive tie between that and the ad? So the promise that was made, was it kept on the landing page on the website? And then the rest of the experience on the website, was it smooth? Was it great? Because there is a team responsible for acquisition, and they're buying all the search ads on Bing and Google, and that's where sort of the responsibility stops, and customers get dumped into random places on your website, have very poor experiences, and instantly bounce away from it. This end-to-end responsibility has to be centered in one high-level individual who can be fired if this doesn't work, but then also later down in the organizations, everybody's got to have to think about end-to-end accountability, and that instantly leads to glorious consumer experiences, which of course in the long run, in the short run, are highly profitable for any company.